welcome to your Ultimate You, the podcast. And I'm your host, Jessica Barrett. And today I am thrilled to welcome back the incredible Amy Willerton for a chat about the next chapter in her story, since our first podcast episode featuring in season 7, where we both experienced so much and we shared so much with one another, and for you as an audience, visually, but most importantly, audio and hearing it. This conversation promises to be genuine, authentic, and delving into the realities of what we as women face. Right, let's dive in, Amy, my love. How are you?
I'm good. I'm proud of us. I'm really happy that we've stuck to doing this 3 months later. And then even just like the setting, I can feel in myself I'm way more organized and grounded than last time. Like, oh my gosh, like, yeah. So it's good because sometimes you don't think you're making progress in life. You kind of think, oh no, I'm not. But actually when you set something like what we've done and said, right, let's sit down in 3 months, like actually, even though there's a lot of things I'm like, I really wish I hadn't done that, I'm also like, wow, I've made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. It's great to do this. It's like my mum used to say, like burying time capsules and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like leaving little things for yourself so that you can actually really remember how much progress you really are making, because day to day sometimes it can feel like you're not doing anything, but we really are all the time.
All the time. We're always evolving, even if we're not, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. And I love how you say leaving markers. That's a beautiful measurement to reflect on how far you've come. Yes, there's always a mile to go. There's always the next step, but that's exciting as well at the same time. We need progression. We're always evolving. We're always growing. As much as we could stand there and say, no, I've reached my level, that's it. Actually, time is still going and you have no control over that. It's what you choose to do within your time. That's what you have control over.
But also have compassion and forgive yourself if you haven't necessarily, like I had many goals that I thought I would meet in the next 3 months, and I'll be honest, things look very different to what I thought they would do. But they're like little accomplishments as well, you know what I mean? A lot of little things where actually there's been a lot of growth, almost from the mistakes as well as maybe the things that I got right as well. And I'm like, okay, okay. I definitely, yeah, like I'm going to mention this before we move on, but I have a great Christmas tradition. If anyone would be curious to hear my personal Amy Willerton Christmas tradition. So every year I have the same stocking that my parents bought me when I was 1 year old. Okay, it's quite cute. They bought me a stocking when I was 1 year old, and I've used that stocking every Christmas. And what I like to do is I like to write myself a letter on Christmas Day, and I write it to myself in a year's time, and I leave it in my stocking so I know the next year I will find it in a year's time. And it's literally one of my favorite things that I do for myself, because it's always like, and I always write what I think's going to happen that year, and it's not like, and it's yeah, and actually us talking about this is really reminding me that that's something I need to keep up, because my life's been so mad the last 2 years. I'd say it's only the last 2 years that I definitely didn't do it last year. It was so chaotic last year, I didn't do it, but it's really reminded me that that's something that I've got to keep doing, because I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it probably since I was a teenager, and I don't know anyone else that does it, but it really, and it's like, hey Amy, from Amy. And it's like a bit of an act of self-love, you know what I mean? Like, yes. But if anyone would like a little Christmas idea, that's my little tradition I have with myself that I haven't followed last year, but I will.
Now you've having this conversation has reminded you of that, and that's something you did for yourself.
Yeah.
And it is part of that self-love, that self-care journey, which we all need to do as women. We need to give a rat's about ourselves, and doing little things like that for you, whether it's yearly, whether you're showing up for yourself and doing something small every day for yourself, that all fills you up. It's all part of fulfilling who you are, and you need that. You need that. How else can you expect to give your best to your kids, to your best friends, your parents, your goldfish, if you aren't filling yourself up?
100%. 100%. Yeah. Let's tell the men this. Like, the more you nourish us, the more loving we are. Just so you know.
Exactly.
Right.
or whoever chart partner you choose to align yourself with.
Exactly. Or anyone, any friendship, any relationship,
Yeah,
the more nourished you are. I mean, and that's, yeah. I mean, I know everyone's like, nourish yourself, but it's so lovely to receive love as well.
it
Oh,
is.
it really helps. It really helps.
It really helps. And we can only get the love that we want and need when we know what it is in ourselves. So it's about loving yourself first, loving yourself enough to care. And therefore, you're going to build that relationship with the person that you choose to be with, or build a better relationship with your parent, sister, sibling, brother, friends. It doesn't matter. The relationship will improve when you love yourself, because then you will decide what you will allow and will not allow in your energetic field.
Definitely. That is a big one.
Mm.
That's probably been the biggest theme of the last 3 months, actually, Jess, where I realized how much of my power I was just giving away all the time. And essentially I was molding myself to whoever I was around. Hence why I was always just like floating over, because it was like I was becoming a different person depending on who I was hanging out with. And then that's when I was like, crap, the only way I'm gonna actually learn to do me is by being alone, which was like the scariest thing ever. Because although I've been alone, I haven't really been alone, like I've kind of been half alone, but sort of keeping safety blankets. And just this last trip in Ibiza, like, yeah, I was, I probably say I've got much more levels to go with it, but definitely where my big thing has been like really pillaring in myself and not becoming, because I'm so naturally very feminine, I'm very floaty, and that is just my way. And I love that about myself, but also I need my own structure to really enjoy that flow, because I found that otherwise I just get knocked all over the place and then don't know where I'm going. And then I start to build something, and then I just get knocked over again and again and again. And I don't want that pillaring to be around a relationship, or I mean, it's nice when it does work out that way, but also like just for myself, yeah, I'm just trying to pillar.
So tell us about your trip to Ibiza. Did you find some grounding, healing for yourself?
Oh, massively. I didn't know why I was there. I was only going for a week to kind of close my things up there because of, as I said to you before, I was feeling so pulled all over the place. I had like a life there and then a life here, and I wasn't really living either life. And it wasn't fun because I wasn't enjoying either side. And I was just like, what am I doing? And even though it was very tough, because the life in Ibiza calls a lot more to my heart and it speaks more to me, and I feel much happier and more relaxed. My daughter being here in Dubai, yeah, it was just like killing me, because I was just like, because I just didn't feel like I fitted in here, and I felt very, very alone and very like, this isn't the life that I picture for myself. It's not what I want for her. It's not what I want for myself. And I just, yeah, so I was getting super down and I kind of got to the stage where I was like, I'm just going to leave. And like, hopefully when she's old enough, she'll come find me. That was where I'd got to, because I was just like, nobody here is listening to me. And I just feel like I'm not valued. And actually, I should be valued, because I'm okay. Maybe I don't fit into the Dubai box, but I'm a great person.
Yeah.
And that was where I was just a bit like, why am I miserable and being tossed out like a piece of trash here, when actually I'm a great person, and I am vulnerable, and I am open, and I am trying to communicate. And honestly, it was just feeling like I was surrounded by robots, quite frankly. Like I would cry, and I know not everyone's into emotion. I totally get that. I know that, and I'm having to learn to be less emotional, and I'm trying to, but at the same time, like I'm just raw. Like that is how I am, and I appreciate it in others. And I find it's a lot less energy when you're not having to freaking lie or be tactical or remember, like, or be show up as a certain character. And that's so much of the inner work I've done, is just to strip back the bullshit, you
Good.
know? And yeah, and so, and I'm like, I've done all this work, and nobody, like, well, it's funny, like here in Dubai, if I could stay here, I think people massively value what I bring to the table because I'm like a little alien with all my like wild Ibiza hippie traits. Like I'm not, you don't find me walking down the street here. Whereas in Ibiza, you know, there's a few people that are like, oh, you're like this person. I'm like, yeah. You know, like so it's more if I can hold myself. So that's just, I guess that's what I'm concentrating on doing is just really like holding myself. Um, you know, I've just come back to Dubai for a few weeks. I nearly stayed in Spain, but I'd been away from my little girl for quite, you know, a few weeks already. So I just thought, no, I want to go back and just ground with her and pillar and build. And sorry, I'm waffling off on one now, but
No, this is your space.
is this all relevant? I don't know. I
Yes.
feel like I don't even know what the question was anymore. I've just kept talking.
It's an update. It's where you and I have come in the last, as you say, so 3-4 months since where we both were.
Yeah.
Yes, you came and spoke, and I shared a bit about where I was back then. I mean, we're talking like
Mm,
February time. And yeah, there's so much going on for you. So the fact is that, Amy, you do have such a great sense of self-awareness because you knew within you weren't happy, and therefore you did the hardest thing. And being vulnerable is so hard, but takes such courage. You were vulnerable, you took yourself out, you went alone, you became yourself. You had to strip back the bullshit, as you said, to reveal your authentic self and heal her. You have to heal
yeah.
her, and that's not one trip. That's not taking a concoctions of beautiful nutrition. It's a journey. It's a
It
journey,
is,
and it
yeah.
doesn't stop. It never stops. But once you're able to strip away the bullshit, the expectations, the pressures from society, from other people, women that give us these expectations,
Mm,
other mothers, whatever it is, when we can strip it away and realize, actually, I'm showing up for me, I'm doing the very best I can because I love who I am. And therefore, if I'm loving myself, my daughter, as I said, my daughter, my family, my friends, my dog, goldfish, colleagues get the best of you because you are
mm,
fulfilled. And that's a journey in itself. And again, you don't reach the end of the journey and get to sit back on the beach, I'm afraid. There are parts of that journey that you do that. The journey is life and it doesn't end.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
doesn't end. And that's
exactly.
beautiful in itself.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just, yeah, exactly. And yeah, so it's lovely that you see that because I think I'm often very afraid. And it's funny because I had like dinner with a really good friend last night, and she told me she's also a mother. And she said to me, Amy, when I first met you, I really judged you because you spent a lot of time away from your daughter. And she was like, it's only through getting to know you and like really understanding your story that I've actually been able to really like take a step back and go, oh wow, okay, like how many of us are living these like compromised lives, especially because we've built them when we were different people and we're always evolving. And it can be really difficult when you are on the journey of self-discovery and that healing journey because you change and the
Mhm.
people around you don't necessarily change and they find it very hard to deal with the change
Yes.
and you can't go back because you're like, I have worked so hard to actually remove that part of myself and then they just want that part back and you're like, I can't get it back and I don't want it back for me. I would only be bringing it back to satisfy you, and that's not
That's not what
particularly
it's
loving.
about. It's nothing to do with
No.
them. Your journey is your own. And what we find is
Yeah.
that those that enter this journey of self-development, discovery, they reach another level of their higher self. And it's this healing, and they become more confident and they begin to start liking themselves. And the people from the past, and if they cannot come on this journey with you emotionally or support
Yeah.
you, they stay stuck, and that's everything to do with them. And I'm afraid that what they will
Yeah.
do is try and pull you back so that they can relate to the old you. You can't be that person. That's been done, gone. It's in the past. You are now evolving.
You are, but I think the great question here is though, when you're a mother and you go on the self-healing journey, then what do you do when you don't fit into your own family anymore? What do you do?
You
You know,
stay
in
true to you. Doesn't matter if you don't
stay,
fit in.
it's more just like it doesn't matter if I don't fit in and genuinely that's probably one of the biggest things that leaps that I've come is like in a lot more acceptance and instead of seeing like that my daughter is trapped in this life I don't agree with, instead of being like, wow, they're doing a service for you that actually you now have your freedom. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm just kind of like, it can be really difficult, especially when I see parenting, nutrition, and I see all of these things that I used to do so unconsciously, like being on my daughter, and I'm like, I can't say anything because I'm not the full-time parent. So how can I then step in and be like, well, you should be doing this? That's not, and I don't even feel like I have the choice to take on that role because I can't, like, I'm having to learn to support myself, and I'm trying to learn to just get my own stuff in gear. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to be selfish enough to be like, well, I'm going to take her. I wouldn't even want to try, because I'm like, you've got to, hence why like many people said like, well, you gave up. And I'm like, well, no, I didn't. I just like genuinely reflected the situation. I was like, I'm not serving her by having a fight here.
Mm.
I'm not serving myself by having a fight here. Obviously, like, I know most people, and many people tell me I'm really stupid that I never went down the legal route with everything that happened. And sometimes I say to myself, I'm like, should I have done that? But it's just not really a frequency or energy I even want to get involved in, because I just see the way it destroys people. And although there's been a lot of really tough times, I'm so appreciative of the fact that, like, I'm very welcome in my daughter's dad's life, in their home, in that I come and go. Yes, they don't fully get what's going on with me, but actually they are they're good people, and it's not that they're trying to hurt anybody. They're just protecting what they know. Yeah. And that's been like a big thing that I've been having to come with. But it's just been because my own family very much more resonate with that opinion, and then his family also the same. It's been like, I've just felt really alone, and I'm like, am I crazy here? And so hence why when I go to Ibiza and then there's people that are kind of on the same, like within the same frame of thinking as me, then I feel at home because I feel accepted. I don't feel like I've got to pretend or anything like that. And even my journey with my own mum and dad, like who are like amazing people. Like, I love them. They're so freaking cute. They just went on a round the world trip together, and my dad's doing an Ironman. Like, they are like wholesome, salt of the earth people. So I'm sure people probably look at me and go, what the hell is wrong with your daughter? Like, running off and dancing around the world. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm reclaiming so much, not just for myself, but for like my ancestors, even just being able to speak. And like my relationship with my own mom, like she's great, but it suffered a lot because for her, she doesn't really care as long as I'm physically with my daughter. Mm. And that's what's hurt me a lot, because I'm a bit like, you've never once asked me. I don't want to say that like that because I love my mom, but sometimes I'm like, would you just like ask me like what makes me happy, or like how I'm doing? How are my dreams? Instead, it's like, are you with your daughter? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, you're a mother, so like, and can you tell that like I've had this huge debate with myself, because I'm just like, because I when I'm with my girl, I bring so much to her. Like, I know I do. I bring so much nourishment. I bring so much creativity. Like, I've just been in Ibiza staying at a bloody mermaid's house, singing to caves, collecting shells for her, making wishes, doing all this magical stuff. So when I'm with her, I'm bringing all of this stuff. Whereas probably if I was here every day, I would be at like Wild Waddy and sitting on the iPad. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't know. It's
her another element of life, and an element.
And I'm still, yeah, like, I haven't fully, 3 months later, I still haven't obviously figured out fully how it's going to work out. But actually, like, there's definitely a feeling of a lot more reunion, where actually, rather than being like putting myself on a separate table to my old life and new life, I'm like, all right, okay, like, how can I integrate them together? How can I show up and be strong in myself? Because I think one of my fears was going back, that I would then revert back to who I was. So I was almost like, I don't want to be in this thing, because I might start questioning what I know and who I am. So then I avoided it. But obviously, I think the true great test is being able to when you do this journey is actually being able to come back and embody what you know and not be swayed by that. That's my test.
Yeah.
That is my test. Like, because actually, if I can be swayed that easy, do I really believe in what I'm doing? So like, yeah, we're about to go to Spain as a family this summer, which is really nice. So I'm really excited about being with her more and being able to balance both sides of my life more. But yeah, like, I just, nowadays it's like you can see when there's the spark of life in someone's eyes and when they're just not there.
Yeah,
And
back, my
do you know
lovely.
what I mean?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean though? Like, nowadays I don't look at people. That's why when people are like, oh, like, how you look, how you dress, I'm like, genuinely, when I meet people now, I don't give a shit what you look like. I don't give a shit how you're dressing. I'm looking in your eyes and being like, are you actually there or not?
Exactly.
That for me is the value in someone now, because I put so much, like, I don't care all the other stuff, like, who cares? You can put on a different pair of jeans, you can dye your hair, but can you light up your eyes? No. Like, that takes somebody who's really been to the depths of themselves, or a child who's just never left. You know what I mean? That's why I love spending time with kids, because they're there, and you can tell when a kid isn't there. You're like, straight away, I'm like, are you okay? Like, what happened? Do you need a hug? Do you need to go on a unicorn ride? Like, what do you need? And we slowly lose that. And that's what, like, obviously, that's kind of, obviously we've been talking a lot about the metamorphosis, which I'm relaunching, is like, that's what it's about. It's about getting the sparkle back in your eye and actually, like, reclaiming who you are, what you want to do, like, what you actually enjoy, not like what you've been pressured to. Like, is your life your own? Like, because mine wasn't. I probably had all of the, I had all the success and the fame and all the looks and all of that. I had all of that, but was I? No, I'd completely lost myself in that expectation. And even when you start to learn about energetics, like, this was a big one for me, actually, because when I left everything, and I'm talking very vulnerably here, then when I left everything, the only thing that I thought had any value was my body. And so for me, when I needed to make money, because I didn't have any, I'd become completely financially reliant on on my partner's family, and I didn't have any means of making money. And so I did, this is what's stupid, I had means, I had a social media following, and this is what drives like Dan crazy, because he's like, you could have done, but I, at a core belief, did not believe I was worth anything more than my body. So after having the baby and, like, losing my body and not feeling good in my body, I was like, I'm nothing, I'm worth nothing. And so, like, that's when I started an OnlyFans, because that was the only way I knew I had any clue that I was worth something. And it's crazy, because I look back now and I look back at all the history of my career and everything like that. And at every stage where I was, like, nearing success in something, I reverted back to feeling safe within this sexualization of myself, because that is where I felt safe. And it's so fucked up, because it's stopped me from progressing in any form of actually the sparkle behind Amy's eyes, because it's always been there, but I've just never really believed in it or felt confident enough to share it with people, because that made me feel vulnerable. So it's crazy that I would rather get my kit off online than just talk and share and actually believe in myself. But when you're very young, I was a sexual icon, if you know what I mean. I was I icon, like, big myself up. But very, very young, I was a pageant girl. I was I was obviously token, I'm a celeb bikini girl. And so there's when you start, obviously, that really there's your mind, and there's the collective consciousness of what everybody's thinking. And so when you've got millions of people essentially sexualizing you, you're going to be influenced by that. What others think of you projects is 50% of your self projection. So I have 50% of me is what I think, and the other 50% is what the outside world reflects to us. So for so many years I couldn't understand like what was holding me back, and I think it is because the outside world had that projection, and so I took on that projection. And so I'm only like I mean, I'm sorting my life out at the moment, but I'm only just like feeling brave enough to be like, okay, can I do something other than that? And am I gonna be okay? And can I trust that everything's gonna work out? Like, it's totally a journey that I'm on right now, but I'm like, but I gotta do it because I'm like, actually, I want to be a mother, and no, I don't want my daughter to be like, what does your mum do for a living? You know what I mean? But I've been there and I've done it. And actually, I hope that anyone like listening this, whether you're a mum, whether you're an OnlyFans girl, whether you're a teenager, whatever you are, I hope that anyone that comes to work with me as I launch, you know, my retreats and my coaching, is that I am a place of absolute non-judgment. Like I am a place of I've done it all. I've been in there. I've written a book. I've written a children's book. I'm just because that's been one side of my life does not make me an unwholesome woman or not a good woman. Because it's like right now we have it's like we have Mary Magdalene on one side and Mother Mary on the other, and they're so separate. You know, sorry, let's go saintly with this. And actually, it's like, no, why can't you be the mother, and why can't you dance to your own bloody? You know what I mean? We can be both. We can be both. How can we unite? And how do we unite all elements of ourselves, right? And be the mother, but also be the woman that's empowered and liberated and confident and actually, you
knows
know,
her shit, knows her
why not?
power, all of it. It's so important. You can, and this is what's really important. Sorry about that to the listeners and the viewers. It's about you can be a career woman, you can be a spiritual, you can be a mother, you can be a dog mum, you can be anything you want to be, anything in this life, as long as you know and have your sense of self-worth. When you have your self-worth, there is nothing you cannot do on this planet. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because you believe in yourself enough. That is my parting gift. Equally, Amy, to you, my love, when you can truly embody this. I remember Reese Witherspoon mentioning it, and a great life coach that I worked with throughout the pandemic taught me this. And when you fully embody it, true freedom comes from it. And it is simple as this: it is none of your business what other people think of you. It is none of your business what other people think of you. Embody that, freedom comes. And that is my, as I say, my parting gift. Amy, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, being able to have you back, share more vulnerability, because within our vulnerability, we realign with our superpower. We realign with our authentic self, and bravery comes from that, and further growth. So my darling listeners and viewers, I'm so grateful Amy's been here, and I'm continuing my journey with Amy. So it's very exciting to watch this space. And who knows, we may both come back on for another authentic chat and highlight where we are then. What do you feel about that, Amy?
Yeah, I'd love another chat. It's great. I think we should make this like this should be at least a twice a year thing or a quarterly thing, don't you think?
Yes. Yeah, it's a good check-in with each other and where we can see and reflect. As for the viewers and listeners, I've gone on a bit of a journey. It's almost a year to this day where I found out that I had suspected cancer. Went on a whole journey. Thank God for the NHS, though it took time. I found out March this year I don't. So the healing's beginning, and a lot of emotional let go, because there was that. Can you imagine holding that unknowing for so long? It drove me nuts. But anyway, that's what I talk about in my own personal episode, which I will share where I'm going.
Well,
and it's go for it.
We're about to do a session, aren't we, after this, of the metamorphosis? So I'm really excited to go into that with you. Actually, straight away, you've given me like, oh, okay, because that's our next thing after this. So great! I'm excited to talk to you about that.
Me too. Well, again, thank you, Amy. You are amazing, incredible, sensational lady. And thank you to the beautiful listeners and viewers. And I will have another incredible woman share her story with you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.